everyone, welcome back to another Beans Bag and Handicrafts Company's tutorial. This one's a little different. I've had many requests for how I do my edge coating on my cork wallets. I can say right now my cork wallet patterns that I use are from Sewgnar. Amazing patterns. I will try to remember to leave a link to her website where all these patterns are in the description below. But I actually just finished this wallet, this Triskele wallet, for a customer order, so I thought I would show you how I go about completing the edges of each of these to give them a completely finished look. I apologize, I'm not in camera. It's very early Monday morning. I actually haven't gotten ready yet. I'm just out of the shower, so you trust me, you don't want to see me. So you're going to see my hands pretty much, and you're going to see what I'm doing. Okay, so the product I use, what we're trying to accomplish is, you can see here how all my edges are complete and they're shiny, and it just gives the wallet a really nice finished professional look. So that's one Triskele wallet that I finished. This is another one that has, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, it has an iridescent top coat, which we will talk about. Yeah, I just love edge coating everything. This is the tall wallet by Sewgnar, and this is the Triskele wallet by Sewgnar. So I'll remember to put those down in the description below. Okay, so the product I like to use is Giardini Edge Paint. I got this big pack, which came with all the colors. They're just little teeny tiny bottles. What's great is you can mix and match to create any color that you may want. In Canada, it's really hard to find this, but I did find a supplier. Carolyn is absolutely amazing. Her prices are good, and actually I'll talk about the glosses soon, but she actually brought them into the store because I requested, which I just love. So, and you can get them from her too. So yeah, so in Canada, if you want to get a Giardini seat, I said I'm not paid for this at all. It's not paid promotion. It's just my own personal experience with how amazing the customer service is. But I got it at Fabric Impressions, which is out of Lethbridge, Alberta. So this is her card here. I will put a link to her website down in the description as well for you to see. So yeah, I hope that isn't backwards, but it might be backwards for you. I guess we will find out. So Fabric Impressions, fabricimpressions.ca. They also sell cork fabric and hardware there as well. All right, so let's get started with what my plan is for this wallet. So the first thing you want to do, and I've done it already, I hope it's good enough. Make sure all your edges here are as even as they possibly can be. Now, one thing that's good about the edge paint is if they aren't even, it's going to fill in those holes for us. So that's awesome. So I do 3 steps. I have my base coat, which I usually do 2 to 3 layers of. Until I get like that smoothness and the fill that I like. I sometimes like to go 3 because it builds up this edge and gives like a really nice trim to the wallet. So yeah, so you'll definitely want base coat dense. You don't have to use it, but this is how you're going to avoid seeing the lines of the cork and everything that happen when you're using cork products. The second is the paint, so you could use those colored paints. I tend to use a lot of black. I said you can buy stuff in all different sizes. So like this is the I think this is 125 mil, and then this is brown in 250 mil. So you can, depending how much you edge coat, you can get in different sizes. The base coat also comes in 125 and 250. This is the 250. I go through a lot of this. So I use the base coat, I use the color, and then I like to finish off with a protective gloss. I like my edges to be glossy. If you don't want gloss, you want just a matte finish, you do not need to use the glosses, but I like the glosses. So there's different kinds of glosses you can use. There's this protecting gloss, which is clear, and you can apply it to any color. And then these ones are the fun ones. This is 3 of the 4 colors that you can get at Fabric Impressions, and it's an iridescent gloss. So it kind of gives you that rainbow effect. So I got a green bronze, a green blue, and a purple green. So what you do with these ones is you apply them over black edge paint, and then it gives it that iridescent look, whereas the protecting gloss is clear and it can go over any color. My plan for this wallet is we're going to build up the edges with the base coat. We're going to paint the edges black, and then I am going to use the purple green gloss because there's a lot of purple and green in this, and I just think that's going to be a lot of fun. Okie dokie. So there's different ways of applying it. There's these tools here. I am terrible with these. I managed to get like the paints all over the handle and everything. I dip it too far and then they don't spin very well. So again, that's just me not taking care of them properly. So I found a better, cheaper way is just to use skewers. You can pick these skewers up at the dollar store. They're just barbecue skewers, and I find that I can get an even coat of everything on them, and I have a little more control, and I don't wreck expensive edge rollers. But the edge rollers do work. I just always seem to clog them up, and then I can't get them clean. You'll also want to have, this is my edge coat cloth. It looks kind of gross, but that's just to take it off of your fingers as you go, and you will see what I mean. So the first thing I want to do is go around all my edges with a lighter, and just to make sure there's no fraying or wispy things or fuzzy things. Go around all the raw edges. Like so. Okay, and then you're going to take your base coat dense, give it a good shake. You'll hear the clicking in there. That's because I lost one of my ends of my roller things in here. Okay, so all I do is open it up. I find a start point. I'm actually going to go around and do all of these little areas here first, right in here, and then we'll do the outside. So you don't need very much. It's way down at the bottom. And you just kind of smooth it on, just kind of like a tap, tap, drag motion, like you're not even really touching it. And then if it goes over, just swipe up with your finger, and that's where the cloth comes in handy. I don't want my camera to fall. Okay, so I'll do this other one over here. And this side. Of course, I pick the wallet to show you with that has the most nooks and crannies. You can see it's kind of not really a spread motion as it is more of a tap, tap, tap motion. And you want to make sure it's even on both sides, on the front right side and the wrong side. Because you can see there's a wrong side. I don't know if you can see that. See how there's a little missing part right there? So you just got to tap, tap, tap to fill in that space. Okay, so that's all of those. So I'm going to start at the top side here. And I like to kind of work backwards, if that makes sense. So I kind of just go here and then just kind of barely drag it across. So it's not a fast process by any means, but I actually really enjoy the paint edge coating process. I think it's relaxing. So it's dripping down there. That's okay. You just take your finger, wipe it off, and use your cloth to wipe your fingers off. Make sure there's no holes of the paint on either side, that it's even. And just kind of tap and drag across. What's great about this is it does fill in those little gaps. So if your cut is uneven, it's going to fill it in. I don't know if you can see it starting to fill in some of those gaps already. I think this is my first time actually filming at my paint station. This is the third part of my basement. I'm actually right in the utility room here, right next to the fridge and the cat door. So if you hear a thump, it's my cat coming in through the cat door window here. But this is where I have my heat press and all of my edge painting area, if you watched my studio tour. See how good it's going along there and along the front. So you can see how it's building up that edge. That's one side done. So I'm going to put this into time lapse while I do the rest of it. You're going to go around and do all the raw edges of the item you were working on. And yeah, so let's get this one done. All right, so we have our first coat done. This coat will always seem like it's a little bit uneven, but that's okay. Just let it dry. Just make sure there's nothing dripping onto the actual cork anywhere, because we're going to smooth this out as we go. So then you want to set this out and let it dry for 20 minutes to a half hour. So I just use my bottles because I don't want the edges to touch the table and stick to the table. One thing you want to do is when you go to close up your paints, make sure, and I've learned this the hard way, that you wipe all along this edge here, because if it dries, it's next to near impossible to get that lid off. So always make sure you wipe that lid down to make sure there's no excess. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to let that dry for about 20 minutes, half hour, go and work on another order, and then once that's dry, we'll come back and I'll show you how we smooth out those edges and apply the second coat. Okay, so we're all dry all along these edges. I apologize for the sun. There's a window right up here and the sun is up now. So I said I started pretty early this morning. So now that the sun is coming through, we're working in a ray of sunshine, which is okay. So if you look at the edges here, you can see how they're a little rough. You can see the lines of the cork through them still and all that, and there's like even little bubbles here. So what we're going to do is you can use a fine sandpaper, like, I don't know, my husband just picked this up for me, ultra fine sandpaper, but I found it was really hard to have control of the sandpaper, so I resorted to just a nail file. So my camera tilted, but do you know what, I think it's a good angle. We're gonna work with it. So what you want to do is go along all these edges and just sand it down as smooth as it will go. Feels how it's nice and smooth. So now all those little bubbles are gone. You want to make sure it's kind of evenish. Go around to all the edges and do that. And so the nail file just works so good with going along these sides like this. You can see how it has some little, and you may sand some of it away because it's trying to get even. That's okay, because when we put the next layer on, it is going to fill those holes. Like, see here, this always happens to me on the first layer, and that's perfectly fine. You just want to make it feel as smooth as it possibly can. These side parts on these wallets where you have multiple layers joined is where it's the thickest. You have to sand the most to get it the smoothest, especially if you didn't cut it nice and even to each other. Okay, maybe a little more right here. Wow, that sun's coming through. I need a curtain for there. Okay, so that feels smooth enough, but you can see how the first layer doesn't really go all the way through. You can still see the layers of cork and everything in between. So we're going to go ahead and do a second layer on top of that. You're going to find it goes on a lot smoother because we got a smoother working surface. So I will put it onto time lapse while I do the next layer, and it's exactly the same as the first layer. right, so we have the second layer on. You can see it's a lot whiter than it was before. You're probably wondering why I put these clips on the ends. With the Triskele wallets where the coin pocket is, sometimes there's just a little teeny tiny gap there where it goes up into that T. So my second layer, I like to try to use the edge paint as the glue to close up that hole. Otherwise it'll just keep dripping in there. So I put it on and then I just carefully put the clips on so they're not touching it to seal up that hole on both sides. So that's why that is like that. So we're going to let this dry again for another 20 to 30 minutes. Like so. Make sure it doesn't touch anything. You wipe your edge of your edge paint so it doesn't get stuck. Mine is getting stuck because I hadn't done it before. I didn't do it yesterday. So I've been struggling with opening it. So we'll fix that right now. All right. So we'll be back in about half an hour. All right, so we are all dried up. So you can see here, it's kind of bubbly there, but where these holes were where I clipped it, it just filled that hole up. So I'm gonna have to, no more hole. So just like we did with the other one, is we wanna go and make all of these smooth. Again. With the nail file. We're still not quite flat, so because stuff like this is happening right here, there's still a little bit of unevenness. I know I'm going to have to do a third layer, which I usually end up doing a third layer anyway because I like it looking like I have a nice outline to the wallet. I can't talk and multitask today apparently. That's nice there. So you can see how it's building it up nicely, but it's still not quite 100% even. And on some areas like here, you can still see the cork underneath. One more layer is going to take care of all of that. So I just repeat like the last thing we did, the last layer we did. Make it all smooth. Go ahead and edge coat. I'm not going to videotape edge coating this time because it's the same as the last two rounds we did. And then once this is done, we'll come back after it sets for about half hour and we will start with the color. All right, so our third coat is all done and you can see it's all pretty even all the way around. That's how I can usually tell that it's good because it's all smooth. If you feel something that's a little bit off, go ahead and just give it a little bit of, I wouldn't go too harsh on it, but just to smooth it out gently. That's better. That's okay. And we're good to go. It's all nice and smooth. So yeah, you can see how it builds it up quite a bit with the 3 layers. And I like that. All right, so I'm gonna grab a new skewer and my black paint. And you paint just like, oops, just like you do with the base coat, but you're gonna be a little careful not to make sure that it doesn't get on here too much because it does mark it up a little bit, but we can also use some nail polish remover to clean that all up later, so it's not the end of the world. So I'll do this one side with you and then we'll go into time lapse and do the rest. So you want to go through, I usually go through on the right side and I'll go right along that line there first. And then you can see how this side is good, but this side there's still some white there, so you want to make sure you go and follow up there and make sure you get it all, because it's a rounded edge now because we've put on that edge coat, that base coat. So you want to make sure, it's kind of like staying in the lines in a way. So you can see there. See? There. And on that side is good too. So work in small sections. Just like that. And then go on the other side too. Make sure it's all even. We're only going to do one layer of this color, so you want to make sure you get everything really good. Cover up all that base coat. Good. So I'm working in about 1.5 inch sections, I guess, working backwards and painting into the other line. Again, I'm barely touching it. I'm just kind of moving the paint along it, making sure it's all good. Get the line right on the right side and then on the wrong side. So it looks something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into time lapse and paint the rest of this. Just do it exactly like you did with the base coat, a nice thin layer of black paint on all the raw edges. right, so we have the whole edge done. You can see on some of it I went over where I had swiped my finger and the black line goes down too far. We are going to clean that up with nail polish remover once this dries before we put on the top coat. But our whole edge coat is done. So you want to let that dry for about 20 minutes or so, and then after that we can put on our protective gloss, or if you prefer a matte finish, you can leave it just like that. Again, remember to clean off the edge of your things so the lid doesn't get stuck on there, which happens to me all the time because I'm super messy. So yeah, okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna go finish working on what I'm working on, and then come back and we will finish up this wallet. All right, so it's all dry, it's all smooth, it's all good. There are a few spots, like, let me find a spot here. Here where I wiped away the black, where it kind of went down. So the way you clean that off is nail polish remover and a Q-tip. Just get a Q-tip wet, and then just kind of go around and where you want to fix it, and it comes right off. I didn't do too badly here, but it is so nice when you know that if you did get somewhere you don't want it to be, it's easy to get it off. I think that was the only place that I had it. Check this side. You guys may have noticed on my wallet there was these little clip marks here. They're slowly fading. They go away as it gets going, or you can steam it and just kind of rub it out, and it's just from when I was holding my layers together. Just in case you were wondering about that. Put a little bit right here. Takes it right off. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to do our glossy top coat. Now we want to do this in a very thin layer. I'm using the purple green. Yes, I have another roller that got caught in there. I said I did not have luck with those roller pens at all. Okay, so the edge coat is white. It's going to go on here almost a milky color. So I'm going to do these little edges first. You don't want to put it on too thick, otherwise it won't do the effect that it needs to do for this. So like a very, very thin layer. And we do this exactly like we did the rest of the edge painting. Okay, I'll start at the top here, and just like we did the painting, but you don't want it to be super thick. You want it to be a nice thin layer. And this is the one, this one will be iridescent purple green, and it'll be very shiny. But it dries clear, which is good. Get both sides. So it looks like that. So it goes on really milky. So you're going to go ahead and go all the way around and do that. I am going to not put this on time lapse because it's the same as the other time lapses over and over. Just go around, put on your protective gloss. Again, I'm using the iridescent gloss, purple green. And then I like to let that dry overnight, but once it's dried somewhat, I'll come back and show you so I can get this tutorial out today and I won't have to do it tomorrow. So yes, go ahead and do that all the way around if you are doing this along with me. Otherwise, you could do this with the clear protective coat. If you wanted it to stay matte, you could have just left it without this. This is an optional step. I just like mine to be shiny, and I just love the iridescent glosses that you can put over the black. So happy painting, everybody. Okay, so she's not quite dry. You can tell it's not dry because there's still, maybe you can't see it on there, there's still some like little white marks like here. That all goes away once it dries overnight, but I really wanted to get this video uploaded, but you can kind of see the effect of how shiny that gloss is. I'm not sure if you can see the iridescent. It's like a purpley green. It's very subtle. So you can see some white there. That's because it's not totally dry just yet. So yes, that is the whole process of how to edge paint with the Giardini Edge Paint. I've never used any other edge paint, just this. And I liked it first off, so I never tried anything else. So I do like to do all 3 steps. I actually am going to look to see if there is a matte protective third coat as well. I'm not sure if there is, but there might be. So anyways, this is it. I hope you guys all enjoyed this tutorial. If you found it helpful and useful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks everybody. See you on the next one.